Hello, my name is Mickey Peters, and welcome back to the upside of authentic leadership. 2023, new year. Can't believe it's 2023. Y2K seems like just yesterday, and that's 23 years ago. So, really excited to be starting a new year. And of course, New Year's resolution is a big part of that. For myself, I don't necessarily always think of them as resolutions, but maybe more along the lines of trends that I want to increase and start, or maybe trends I want to decrease, hopefully stop. I also try when I think about resolutions or new trends or old trends I want to stop. I want to share those with other people, share it with my wife, share it with you here on this podcast. And so I'm doing that with you now. One of the things that is really important to me and a trend I definitely want to see increase and a skill that I want to improve on is I want to be a better listener. A trend I definitely want to slow down and stop is apologizing to those I'm in conversation with for interrupting them. That is not something I want to continue to do. I don't want to interrupt others. I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel like I'm really listening and interested in what they have to say and not simply waiting for the opening that I can then pounce on with my response that I've been thinking about instead of listening to them. And so one of the things that some mindset I want to cultivate is one that is more concerned about getting it right than being right. I think I've spent much of my life more concerned about being right. So, of course, leads to defensiveness and anxiety in conversations. More worried about, do I have the right answer? Am I right? And if I want to defend myself. So, yeah, just really shifting that focus. I really want to make sure we get this right. And if I'm wrong, that's okay. I'm not worried about that. I'm more concerned about that we get this right in this conversation. Secondly, I really would like to improve and be better at asking good questions versus having all the right answers. What's a good question? I want to be curious. What else would I like to know about this? Maybe something I'd like to hear this person expand upon. Is there anything more that you'd like to share about that? So really getting better at, instead of having all the answers, asking better questions and thinking about that as I'm listening to them. What's a good question here? A practice that I heard one of my Vistage speakers, Boaz Rauschberger, share that I thought was really powerful was a 1 second pause between the end of the person who's speaking to me and the beginning of my response to them. Just 1001. Obviously in my head, not out loud, but just waiting, making sure they understand that I'm really focused and concerned about hearing what they have to say instead of, are you done? Let me pounce on you with my response and my answers. So that's a practice I really want to put into execution mode in my life and really wait until I start my response, at least 1 second. And also better follow-up questions in terms of, anything more? Is there anything else you'd like to share? Many times people, you get the real heart of the matter when you ask those questions. Oh, yeah, that made me think about this, or they expand upon what they initially shared, and really something deeper. So really make sure that's all I have to share before I start again my response to them. The second near New Year's resolution, have more hard conversations with those I care about. AmyK, a Vistage speaker in a podcast you may have seen here. One of her quotes is, many times what I want is on the other side of a hard conversation. Well, I'm a guy who has avoided those. I don't like conflict. So naturally, I tend to shy away from the elephant in the room or having that hard conversation. I want to stop doing that. People that I care about, if something is not serving them well, I want to initiate that hard conversation. AmyK, we practiced in that podcast how to do that. Hey, I'm going to need to tell you something that may be hard for you to hear. but it's important because I care about you. I care about our relationship. So it's important that I share this. So initiating more, but also inviting more. If I'm doing something that's not serving me well in my relationships, I want to be receptive and open and even invite those hard conversations, people to bring things up to me that they need to share with me. So it goes both ways. And finally, one resolution and commitment I always make is better self-care. Someone I really respect once said, love others as you love yourself. And you can flip that around and say, as I love myself, I will love others. So I really want to be better at self-care, which is how that is primarily reflected in my own life. I try to think of it in terms of physical, emotional, spiritual, and intellectual self-care. Exercise, sleep, eating well, um, spiritual discipline each morning, reading. What am I reading? What podcasts am I listening to? What new information am I taking in? How am I implementing that in my life? And, what I try to do is review my practices and see where I can improve, maybe less of one thing, more of another. But again, the focus is making sure that I set myself up for success each day and really do show up as my best self, not hungry, angry, lonely, tired, set up for failure or falling short. And the other area that's super important for me is relationships, prioritizing relationships, of course, with my family, but also with friends and colleagues, taking time. If somebody wants to talk to me or someone has called me or emailed me or texted me, I prioritize responding to that, setting up time to talk to them, meet in person if that's what would work best. So yeah, really, really prioritizing relationships in my life. I found that to be critical in terms of stress management, being able to have relationships that are deep, that are authentic. So if something is on my mind, that something is bothering me, I'm losing sleep over it, I have a place, a safe place, a good relationship or group there where I'm able to share that and manage that stress better, get it out of my head. So hopefully you find these helpful. Really enjoy sharing those. And if those of you that know me well, if you see me not practicing these, please feel free to have a hard conversation with me, hold me accountable. Really appreciate that. And so look forward to our next podcast at the end of this month, the next event with Dr. Bill Crawford. So I hope you have a good month. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.